Greetings from Florida. Today we're working on a Mazda Cx7. Many of these Mazdas are similar. There's a gear inside the window motor that needs to be changed. That's usually what it is. The regulators generally don't go. The motors don't seem to go at all. Just that gear, there's a spline on the gear that strips out. So there's two 10mm bolts that hold the panel on. The first thing I'm doing is taking off the cover behind the pull to get out of the car, and there's a screw behind that. And depending on which model Mazda you have to find out where the 10mm bolts are hidden. In this case, I'm taking off the side view mirror cover now. In this case, they were behind the black pull that's on the door panel. But sometimes there's a trim plate, like a wood grain trim plate, that you're going to remove with the 10mm bolts are on that. There's also a screw in there, and there's probably a small piece of fiber or carpeting that's covering it. So take that out, and then you should be able to get the screw out. Next, I'm trying to figure out where the support screws are, the 10mm bolts that hold it to it. So I've just found that it's not coming off. And I realize it's right behind here. So you gotta remove that. A magnet is convenient to have in this case too, if you have it. It's going to need an extension, and I think a 10mm. Nope, just an extension. Convenient magnet. And if you need these, you might want to go to my website, upanddownmainstreet.com, upanddownmainstreet.com. Now, there's a couple wires on the back of that handle. Try not to unhook the wires. Getting them back on is a real pain in the ass. So if you can, just slide the entire handle through that opening. Makes life much easier. Also, unplugging the wiring harnesses for this is a real challenge, especially on the driver's door. They just don't want to come out, so you're going to need a flathead screwdriver to poke them in and pull them out. On the passenger door, it's a little bit easier because there's only one, but on the driver's door, there's three of them, and it's really difficult to unplug them. But I got it. Now you see the motor right there. Suction cup comes in handy. Definitely a suction cup, by the way. You definitely need a suction cup to hold it in place. You're going to take out the speaker because, and this is a rookie mistake, the biggest problem people have is they take the motor off and try to put it back on without putting their hand behind there to support the regulator, the part of the regulator that goes into. And this pushes it through, and then it unspools, and then you need a new regulator. You're not going to be respooling it. So, very important. Put your hand back there to support it. You can probably get the screw started. You want to make sure that when you put it back in that spool doesn't push in and unspool. That's the easiest. It's a very easy job to do, but that's the easiest problem that you can have with it. Next up, you're going to open up the housing of the motor. Crack the case. You'll need a small screwdriver and a big hammer. And you're going to tap it down a couple places. It's important not to break, if you can avoid it, not to break the housing. The reason being then you don't have as much support when you put it back on. It'll break off the part where the 10mm bolts go into. So You may not be able to see all this. I apologize. I may do another video. I probably will do another video of just how to do the gear. It's not complicated. Oh, that was nice for me to lift it up so you can see what's going on. Yeah, work your way around the outside edges. Upanddownmainstreet.com. Upanddownmainstreet.com. Feel free to support my video library by buying the parts on there if you can. It's appreciated. We ship pretty quick. We use the post office priority mail. Probably go out the same day. You probably have it if you're in the US 2 days later, maybe 3 if you're in a remote part of the US. So you're going to get that open. Now you're going to see 2 small gears, which you don't have to change. And one thing you do want to do is take out all the broken splines that are inside the motor, which is what I'm getting now, so they don't get caught up in anything. And if you want to just get a new motor, it might be easier for you. You can do that, but you really don't need it. The motors don't go. And the regulator generally doesn't go. The regulator being the cables and cross brace that pull the window up and down. So you're going to pull that out. Take note of where those black spacers are. You can see the splines broken right there, where I just put the screwdriver. And that's going to get you that ratcheting sound when you try to use it. It's going to just So get your new gear. By the way, if you have 4 doors, buy the 4-pack. You're going to do them all, I can guarantee it. There's not an if, and, or but about it. I've done tons of these. We're doing about 10 of these a month. Now, usually those black spacers are one solid ring, but a lot of times they break up. It's not a big deal. Should be able to put them in. And I did have a problem doing this, which I edited out so you would not see the ugly truth. I put the small gears back in upside down, which caused it to spin and not actually do it. So I took that out of this video, so you won't see my mistake. Just know that I did make a mistake and I fixed it. I'm going to put that back on. Lines up with the inside of those black spacers. Another thing you can do every now and then, every 2 or 3 months, put your windows down and lightly, I mean lightly, spray the 2 up and down channels, the 2 run channels, not the one your arm would rest on if the glass was open, but the 2 that go up and down that the glass travels in. Spray them with some WD-40 or Power Lube or Pam cooking spray lightly. You don't have to soak it. They dry out and cause the glass to grab, so a little dab will do you. And while we have this open, we're also going to take off, you see those 2 black caps on the right hand side, right in the middle of the door. We're going to take those off. We're going to put the window down about halfway, and we're going to lube the bracket that goes up and down behind that. It's not vital, you don't have to, but it's not a bad idea while you have the panel off. If you have any questions on this, feel free to ask me on the YouTube page. You can email me, you can ask me on YouTube. Please don't call, unless you buy the parts from me. If you buy the parts from me, you can call all you want, and I'll be glad to help you out. But if you're buying the parts someplace else, just ask the questions on the YouTube page. A little silicone there on the gear. Plug it in before you put it on. It just makes it easier. Make sure you put your hand behind it. Put your hand behind it, because otherwise you will push out the gear, unspooling the regulator, and you'll be so sorry. Also, you need a suction cup on this, otherwise the glass is going to fall right down, which also can unspool the gear. So just make sure you get something on there or somebody to hold it. Line up the 10mm bolts. And here's where I'm pulling off those caps to throw some lube back there. But you will have to bring the glass down about halfway. That's where the bracket will line up with those two openings. Those openings are also to get to the bolts that hold the glass to the bracket. Oh, that's where I masterfully edited out my error. So there you go. Never happened. I'm plugging it in so I can bring it down. And you can just barely see where that bracket is. Put the speaker back on. And then if you've left the handle on, it makes it much easier to pull it through. You're going to connect the wiring harness, put the screws back, and you should be good. I think I can leave you now. And I really appreciate you watching the video. Again, upanddownmainstreet.com. Thank you so much. You have a good week.